Recently, many events that affected and offended the Black community took place in K-pop, such as Kiss of Life celebrating one of the members' birthdays with a stereotypical themed hip-hop party, Card BM mumbling the N-word, leaked videos of Jennie Rose and Lisa saying the N-word and more. After these occurrences, netizens brought to light other incidents that had previously happened in the industry, realizing that K-pop had become somewhat of a playground for cultural appropriation and discrimination. In that regard, a discussion surrounding racism and the integration of Black culture into K-pop was raised, with even a few idols expressing how they feel about it, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Quick disclaimer, I am not Black, and although I am fortunately educated enough on the matter, I am still a human being and can make mistakes and misspeak, so if I am in any way disrespectful, feel free to correct me. First, let's talk about the incident that, in a way, initiated all of this. Kiss of Life's video. On Julie's birthday, Kiss of Life members posted a video where they were dressed and acting according to the stereotype placed upon the Black culture. Fans, and particularly the Black community, were rightfully hurt by the video and expressed their disappointment in various ways, writing letters to the girls, emailing their company, boycotting the group, and more. The disappointment was accentuated because this is now the second time that one of the members has disrespected Black culture. The first time was when Julie sang the N-word a long time ago in a YG evaluation, but apologized for it. This led fans to the big question: are K-pop idols racist? Let's take a deep dive into it. It's very common to see fans defending such actions with the argument or excuse that Asian people are not taught about racism. Is this true though? Well, no. Korean people are taught about racism, xenophobia, and prejudice, but not in the same way or depth as in the West. South Korea is an ethnically homogeneous country, and historically, it has never had a large Black population or culture integrated or introduced to it in any way. The concept of racism and prejudice towards Black people taught in school often focuses more on nationalism rather than systemic racism. The education surrounding global racial issues like slavery, segregation, and rights is limited and superficial, so the people who wish to learn more about it have to go beyond what's taught in schools. However, the chances of someone who grows up unaffected by said social issues and in a place that does not stress its importance going beyond the surface to learn more are minimal. Sometimes, even seemingly well-educated idols mess up because the system makes it seem like what's taught and how it's presented is enough. Many Asians grow up with very little direct interaction with Black people, so a lot of what they see and know comes directly from global media vehicles, which tend to represent Black people stereotypically. Black individuals in Korean media are often caricatured or exoticized. Hip-hop and Black culture are appropriated without context and put on as if they were something relatable and funny. People who are not educated on the matter consume this stereotypical image of Black people without comprehending the deeper historical and racial context. So what is often released to criticize and satirize a serious issue is taken literally. This is why such representations and cultural appropriations are made without concern. It's not that Koreans don't know what it means, but rather, it just doesn't come off as inappropriate for them. It is extremely common for Black people, specifically women in South Korea, to be approached by men who, in an attempt to flirt with them, start mentioning these stereotypical depictions as a way to establish some connection and proximity between them.
What's one of the downsides of living in Korea versus another country?
I guess people's comments, they don't mean to be racist, but I was at a store one time getting help from a worker, and he was helping me, and then as I was talking Korean, he's Korean, we were talking a lot. As he was helping me out of nowhere, he just said, look, I love Black people so much, he says, I like the music, the hip hop, and all that very much, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. Thank you, yeah, I'm pretty sure he wanted to use it to connect.
Yeah. Okay, but what about idols who grew up in the West, like BM Julie or Jennie? People expect idols who were born in these multicultural societies to be more racially aware than Koreans. And they should be, but that's not always true. Although living in the West may have assured them a more diverse societal living, as they are more exposed to more diverse cultures, they were still raised in Korean households, which means they most likely grew up under the Korean lens. In short, geography doesn't guarantee awareness. Your cultural environment does. That's why there are racist people even in Black communities. It's interesting to mention that it's quite common for Asian immigrants to teach their kids to ignore sensitive topics and conflicts to succeed, especially when it comes to race, as it can backfire on them. Growing up around a minority doesn't mean you truly understand their history. It just means you are more exposed to it. This happens especially in areas with casual racism or a lack of proper education, where people can grow up internalizing the same ignorant ideas as everyone else. So is it just ignorance and not racism? This varies depending on the individual. I cannot conclude that all idols are racists, nor can I say that none of them are. A lot of what seems like racism comes from pure cultural ignorance, not necessarily deep-rooted hate. This doesn't make it okay. It just helps explain the behavior. South Korea has a strong national identity due to Japanese colonialism, making ethnocentrism a method for Koreans to reclaim and maintain sovereignty. There is a huge favoritism toward white people, stemming from ideas about racial hierarchy absorbed from U.S. military forces that were once stationed in the country. In an article published in 2009, an international Korean school published data revealing that almost 50% of students said they have difficulties maintaining relationships with students who are not Korean due to different skin colors, fear of being ostracized ostracized by other Koreans, and embarrassment. Although this was a small research compared to the whole country, the point is the same. Racism is subtly ingrained in the Korean culture. So while it does vary depending on each person and their understanding of the matter, it is evident that Korean society impacts people's understanding, leading to cultural insensibility and, if not later deconstructed, racism. Why does it keep happening then? In K-pop, racism takes on different forms, so it may not be noticed as true racism by idols who were superficially taught about the matter. It may appear as cultural appropriation, disrespect, discrimination, etc. This thin line between appropriation and appreciation leads to unfortunate acts. It also leaves it open for actual racists to come through and act ridiculously. There is also the fact that K-pop is mostly focused on South Korea. Therefore, when an idol is racist, it'll just fade in the background of their career, as the majority of the public following them is Korean and don't care for it. They will apologize, but won't educate themselves on the matter. K-pop borrows heavily from black culture, hip-hop, R&B, fashion, slang, hairstyles, and much, much more. However, many idols and companies don't acknowledge or don't even have an idea of where that style comes from. It's not always malicious or done with bad intentions, but it's still disrespectful. This cultural appropriation without understanding reinforces all the stereotypical images presented in the media, leading to problems like those mentioned, or even worse, which is when they mock the culture. It is 100% okay to be inspired, appreciate, and integrate parts of black culture into K-pop, but it must be understood where that is coming from in order not to cross the border between what's appreciation and appropriation. Plenty of idols have expressed and admitted their love for black music, style, and culture. The one I can think of from the top of my head was "Uh-Oh" by I-DLE, where Soyeon openly admitted to being inspired by the black rapper Rakim Allah. She paid homage to him in the music video and discussed it in a behind-the-scenes video. Once trainees join the K-industry, the Korean entertainment system takes over. Idols are trained to blend in and follow the rules while avoiding controversy. They lose a lot of touch with reality and the values around social justice, often being discouraged from speaking up just to fit in and make their dreams come true. The industry prioritizes image and conformity over personal beliefs. Companies often don't educate their artists about global issues, even though they're pushing them into international markets, because it's way more profitable for them to have artists who are ignorant than to have those who may voice anything. Sensitive topics are rarely addressed by idols, and those who do address it become targets of hate by the general public, making them want to address problems less and less. Idols who constantly address social issues must bear the weight that comes with it, and that's not an easy task, especially when you live in such a society. Companies do this because they know South Korea is the fallback, while the international market is where they are trying to get in. If they can't blend in for whatever reason, that's alright, they have South Korea. This leads to an endless cycle of scandals over lack of education for idols, and that's a bigger systemic problem, not just a Kiss of Life, Card, or Aeon problem. Although the audience is undoubtedly correct in bringing these issues up so idols can educate themselves, a great part of the public uses important cases like this to target, bully, and hate idols. Editing clips, cutting clips, taking sentences out of context, all of it to have something, even if fake, to fulfill hateful fantasies and have an excuse to hate on idols. This is so serious that even idols had to explain that certain clips or statements were fake. After the Kiss of Life incident with a shaken community, people started to edit and post clips, making fun of and hating the girls, just for the sake of canceling them, and not caring at all about actual racism. It's as if they were just waiting for the girls to mess up so they could attack them, regardless of the reason. Just an observation. Part of the hate they received was understandable. Their actions were inappropriate and problematic. I am talking specifically about people who don't care about racism and prejudice. This not only causes harm to black fans, but it also completely removes the weight of a more than reasonable cause, making it seem like it's just a joke, which reinforces this cycle of recreative racism that K-pop has displayed. So in a way, fans are also part of the reason why the industry doesn't care to educate idols on important matters, as it won't matter if, at the end of the day, it's just a way people find to hate. The conclusion for this video is, most idols most likely don't harbor hate or racist intentions toward black people, which is the classic definition of racism, but their actions still perpetuate harmful stereotypes and show a lack of basic respect and ethics. While it might not be intentional, it can still hurt people, and that's what matters. K-pop is a global industry, and a great portion of the audience is black, connected to black culture, or just well-educated to know what's right and wrong. With such influence comes a huge responsibility. Idols and companies need to start understanding the weight of what they do. Harm is still harm, even if it's unintentional. Mistakes can happen. People can learn from them and move on, but it's important to show growth. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments.